Hi there, everyone. This is Mr. Nesbitt. Today we're going to be reading a book called Flat Stanley, His Original Adventure. El nombre de este libro en español se llama Esteban el Plano y su aventura original. ¿Okay? Vamos a leer el libro en inglés, pero de vez en cuando voy a parar y hacer un pequeño resumen de lo que está pasando. ¿Empezamos? Capítulo 1, Chapter 1. The Big Bulletin Board. Breakfast was ready. I will go wake the boys, Mrs. Lambchop said to her husband, George Lambchop. Just then, their younger son, Arthur, called from the bedroom he shared with his brother Stanley. Hey, come and look. Hey. Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop were both very much in favor of politeness and careful speech. Hay is for horses, Arthur, not people, Mr. Lambchop said as they entered the bedroom. Try to remember that. Excuse me, said Arthur. But look, he pointed to Stanley's bed. Across it lay the enormous bulletin board that Mr. Lambchop had given the boys a Christmas ago so that they could pin up pictures and messages and maps. It had fallen during the night on top of Stanley. But Stanley was not hurt. In fact, he would have still been sleeping if he had not been woken up by his brother's shout. Así que la familia Lambchop estaban listos para desayunar, cuando de repente el hermano de Stanley salió de su cuarto gritando que había pasado algo. Al entrar en el cuarto, los padres de Stanley y Arthur vieron que la tabla grande que le regaló a los niños hace un año durante la Navidad se había cayado encima de Stanley. What's going on here? He called out cheerfully from beneath the board. Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop hurried to lift it from the bed. Heavens, said Mrs. Lambchop. Gosh, said Arthur. Stanley's flat as a pancake, said Mr. Lambchop. Darndest thing I've ever seen. Let's all have breakfast, Mrs. Lambchop said. Then Stanley and I will go see Dr. Dan and hear what he has to say. Así que los padres entraron en el cuarto y ellos vieron que Stanley estaba plano, llano, como un panqueque. Entonces dijo nada, pues vamos a desayunar y después vamos a ver el doctor. In his office, Dr. Dan examined Stanley all over. How do you feel? He asked. Does it hurt very much? I felt sort of tickly for a while after I got up, Stanley Lambchop said. But I feel fine now. Well, that's mostly how it is with these cases, said Dr. Dan. We'll just have to keep an eye on this young fellow, he said when he had finished the examination. Sometimes we doctors, despite all our years of training and experience, can only marvel at how little we really know. Pues al llegar a la oficina del doctor, el doctor le examinó a Stanley, le pidió si dolía. Dijo Stanley que no dolía mucho. Al principio había algo, pero ya no. Dice, pues vamos a vigilarlo. Mrs. Lambchops said she thought Stanley's clothes would have to be altered by the tailor now, so Dr. Dan told his nurse to take Stanley's measurements. Mrs. Lambchop wrote them down. Stanley was 4 feet tall, about a foot wide, and a half-inch thick. La mamá de Stanley, Mrs. Lambchop, pensaba que a lo mejor iba a necesitar a cambiar su ropa un poquito por un sastre. Así que el médico le pidió que su enfermera le tomó sus medidas de Stanley. Y la mamá de Stanley, Mrs. Lambchop, los escribió. Dijo que Stanley era de 4 pies de altura, un pie de ancho y como medio ancho de grueso. Ya terminó el primer capítulo.